I'm Sherwood. I work for a company called Toolrent. We take people's assets and we put them online and put them back out for rent when they're sitting idle after you're not using them. So we say that we're a constant small business feel in the tool rentals because we use the assets and the resources and the stuff of the owners themselves instead of setting up our own network of like buildings and chains and offices and stuff. So part of our start, we kind of got the idea in November 2015. I was an Airbnb superhost as well as a Turo car owner, and I was renting the houses and the cars, and I was renting out my dump trailers because I had a construction company as well. And so I was renting out dump trailers, and we kind of decided to put it online right here. So we found a developer, spent a year in development, and then we got started with our MVP, which was originally called Every Task because my company was called Task. So it wasn't until later that we bought Toolrent. Here's our team. We got myself and then a gentleman named Devin here who is our mechanic and like constantly is saving our ass really and helping us like make it through the day because people just break stuff, you know, and I don't know. Then there's Nicholas right here. He's 19 years old. He helps us do sales and coordination, and he actually just bought 1% of our company for 25 grand. So he's really pretty serious. He's 24/7 constant. A gentleman named Davis here, he helps us move tools. He owns tools. He was doing construction, stopped construction, kind of just jumped on board with us. We have my little brother. We inherited some money from my grandmother passing, and we put it all into Toolrent to develop the app at first and do all that. And then we have Steve down here, who was the initial investment as well. He owns a dental company in Chicago, and he heard about the idea. I used to be his assistant back in the day, and he put some money in there for development as well. This was the first time that I did it at 1 Million Cups. We had done, we were live on all 3 platforms, had 25 tool owners. We had 742 transactions. We were doing about 50K a month, or it was our first month of 50K. We'd done about 200 in total revenue. I was gonna change this. We had a backdated slide. I just got my slides in this morning, like 5 minutes ago. And so I didn't have time to change this. So it was going to be a different slide, but this was when I presented at launch DFW. This was on the 30th. We've been averaging about 50,000 a month since then. This number right here is like year to date. It's super gnarly. Last year in January we did 690 total revenue, and then this year we did 51,000. So we've pretty much doubled since last year. We kind of just, I don't know, we geared down. A couple other things. We hired this gentleman that does barcoding systems and stuff like that really helped out with the owner assets, bringing it back and forth and keeping track, and changed our company for sure. We have Austin and Houston. Again, those are like people that own tools and like have yards that they put tools in, you know, and we like hustle tools out of that. So it's not super fancy, but Austin and Houston are coming on board now. And then the saturation here in Dallas, I think we have like 1,900 total transactions so far, like total rentals since January of last year. So it's starting to saturate here, and we're starting to get repeat customers and just word of mouth and, you know, that kind of fun stuff of being almost 2 years old now. So other than that, this one's not so important. It's the market validation. We've had a couple other people attempt this, like Yard Club. Caterpillar bought them, and now they only rent Caterpillar equipment. So they don't use the owner assets or anything like that. The closest one was Equipment Share, but they just got bought for $73 million, and then they just bought all their own equipment and stopped renting out other people's equipment. I don't know what they learned, or if they just had too many headaches or something like that, but they stopped renting it out. And then some of the other facts are like the tool rental industry is like $40 billion a year, and 10,000 contracting companies in Dallas, and other stuff like that. But that's pretty much for my slides. That was the last slide. That's all I got right now. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. So I'll start off the questions, and thank you for, at the last minute, getting everything done for us. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
So how do you find your market? How do you find your clientele and your... two sides. You need to find people who have tools to rent, and number 2, how do you find people who need tools? How do they find you?
We use Craigslist a lot, sort of like a bunch of companies do, I feel like. We use Craigslist a whole bunch. We use Facebook a whole bunch. I used to do construction, so I had like 400 or 500 contacts myself of like different flooring companies, and I take pictures of people's trucks driving down the road and call them and old school guerrilla marketing kind of way. Yeah.
Perfect, because I know I've got a brother-in-law who's a contractor and always has asked me if I have any extra tools or things like that, so I guess that's where it comes in handy. All right, we're going to open up for questions. Like Malithi had said, please keep the microphone with you and speak into it so our friends at the Frisco or ISD can hear the questions and hear all the answers. So,
Mine's really quick. What happens if I borrow a tool and I break it?
You pay for it.
So I'm 100% liable for it, and you have that limitation in the contract that we sign? Okay, fantastic.
Every time.
And then you did say that there's 10,000 contractors. So of that 10,000 contractors in the DFW area, how many qualify as part of your target audience? Because you said you're focusing on small contractors, so how many of them are small?
I'm not exactly sure. So that's just roofing companies. I looked up on the DFW census on just roofing companies because I had a roofing company. And so we had dump trailers, and that's just 10,000 roofing companies. I'm not sure of total contractors.
Can anybody register their tools? Like, for example, I have a power washer in home. Can I register that on your platform for rental? And who is going to pick it up and drop off?
The renter can either come to you or you can go to them. So we didn't change the rental industry that much. Like, it's natural to go to Home Depot to pick up a tool or somewhere to go pick up a tool. So you can either go there or you can drop it off and get paid for it as well.
What about the background check? Would it be safe for anybody to come to my house or my property and take the...
We could definitely step that up for sure. We get like Facebooks and IDs, kind of like Airbnb does or Turo does. We don't run a full-on background check just yet.
That answered a lot of my question, but great idea. I love the concept. My dad's a contractor. He didn't meet a tool that he didn't need 3 of, so I'm going to tell him about the platform. But I had a logistic question. So it sounds like it's you're basically just kind of introducing the renter to the tool owner.
Yes, sir.
Is it handheld tools as well as heavy equipment, kind of all over the board?
So what we advertise and focus on is dump trailers, skid steers, and mini excavators, because I feel like a variety of contractors can use that. But you could upload your pressure washer, you could upload your boom lift. We have everything pretty much, but I focus on 3 things. It's just skid steers, mini excavators, and dump trailers for my advertisements.
What about like a deposit? Are you guys putting that in escrow somehow?
We hold it in our Stripe account. That's our credit card processing company. I don't have it in escrow, no. It just stays in our Stripe account, and then we send it back if the tool's unharmed. So.
Gotcha. Thank you.
A great concept. I actually use Home Depot and Lowe's, so I will definitely check this out. But how do you, maintenance-wise, make sure the tools are in good shape prior to leaving and also coming back?
So that depends on if you store it with us or if you keep it yourself, right? So I do have a location here in Garland, Texas. I have a 7,000 square foot warehouse that I was using for construction and everything else. It's dedicated to Toolrent now, and you can store it with me. I take a higher commission, and I also have a mechanic on staff, and so we can handle the maintenance. That's not scalable, in my opinion, so that's not what we're focusing on. We're focusing on you keeping your tools and doing all of that. But for right now, while we gain traction, we have a mechanic on staff and all that. But in Austin and Houston, these people have already got storage, maintenance, and facilities to house their equipment. They have the equipment already, right? So we play into those really hard. We ask them questions like, how are you doing all this stuff? Because we have to make sure the rent goes smoothly, right? And you don't have all these mechanical errors because that costs the contractors money. And my least favorite thing is to get a call on a rent from an angry contractor and just have them tear me apart. So, yeah.
Okay, understood. Last question. As far as competitive prices, are you guys?
Super competitive, probably too competitive.
Okay.
Probably too small, too low, right? We're trying to really wow everybody, so we're probably 30 to 40% under Home Depot. So. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sherwood, thanks. It's very cool. What is your business model and how do you make money?
We take a commission from each rent. It's a performance-based model, I guess. So like your tool sits with us or sits at your house. If it rents, we take anywhere from 15 to 35%. If you're storing it, you're tracking it, you're insuring it, you're getting to keep 85%. If I'm doing all of those things, then I keep 35%.
Okay, good. And then another question on risk. What happens or how big is the risk of, a skid steer ends up in Louisville Lake or, disappears from the world? How do you guys handle that?
So nothing's ended up in a lake yet. We've had a few trailers stolen. We put trackers on everything. So like when it gets stolen, we can watch it wherever it's going. And most of the time we put them in like junction boxes too, hide them really well. We get creative where we put these things. And so we watch a bunch of our assets. We've only had 4 trailers stolen. They've all come back. The only thing that was stolen that hasn't returned was my personal truck off of a job site. I didn't put a tracker in my truck, so. But it happens. They break, they get stolen. It's just part of the world, unfortunately. And so we do try to mitigate that risk by putting trackers and insurance on it. And we're doing this all online, right? So it's sort of unique that we can watch it in live time all the time. Like we're doing it 24 hours a day. So we have like a war room set up, you know what I mean? Like we have this RV that has all these screens and a guy sitting there, and it's our war room. So we watch it. Yeah.
Thanks.
So I think it's a great idea. I think you proved that there's a lot of money in that with the other companies that were bought out, so congratulations on that. I had one question about the business model you said was scalable in terms of quality control. How do you control, for example, when I go to Home Depot, I know that it's going to work because they have a maintenance team right there. How do you know that people are providing quality products?
So you can judge that sort of by the looks of the machine and the hours of the machine. We're asking people to upload videos these days too of like them working the machine, maintaining the machine. If it's here in Dallas, I personally have been going out and running the machines just to kind of keep that quality control. Eventually we would like to put all of this on the app. The app is still sort of like an MVP. Like it's just like a facade almost. Like it's still us in the back end hustling it through Stripe, through our phones, through all of this. Eventually it'll be sort of like Turo, and I don't know if I can get in trouble for saying their name or anything like that, but they have videos all through their app, like before the rent, after the rent. It's required. They have like that thing on the app where you like have to take a photo of your ID. It sends it to some like background check company, you know what I mean? We haven't had all the funds in the world to run this. It's mainly been my funds and my brothers and that other guys. So we have like a lot of room in that app to develop, right? So right now it's pretty basic here at the moment. So just videos on like being emailed and stuff. So.
Is there a rating system inbuilt so that when I rent the next time I can actually see who has the best equipment, because pretty much a lot of people have the same equipment, no?
Sure, yeah, the app actually has that in there. The app is pretty, I call it an MVP only because it has like one flaw. Like anybody can book any tool at any time, and it won't tell you that they booked their tool until they've booked your tool and they paid for it. So you could be using your tool or something like that, forgot to update my calendar in my app, and then they could book it, and then we'll have to call and refund their money. And that's why I don't really push the app as hard as I have been, but it does have rating systems in there. It has like price negotiations features between you and the tool owner in there. It has in-app chat in there. It has tracking in there already. It has a calendar in there already. It does all the barcoding and stuff in there already, but I just don't use the app as much because anybody can book any tool, and I really don't want the refund phone calls either, you know what I mean? Okay. Like all that. Customer
I have
service.
another curious question. Mm-hmm. You said that someone else in your sales team bought 1% of your shares for $25,000. So you already gave a $2.5 million valuation to your company. How did you manage to come up with that number?
So that's the second guy
I
that's
watched too
bought
many
it back.
Shark Tanks episodes.
Say this one more time? I didn't hear that last one.
No, I said I watched too many Shark Tank episodes to ask this question.
So that's the second guy. That dental guy too bought in at $2.5 million valuation. How we came up with that, I don't know. I guess it was sort of pride in a way, right? I was funding it myself, and the industry is $40 billion. If we get 1%, that's $400 million in revenue a year, right? And so, I don't know. It was just lofty goals, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
You kind of answered my question, but I would like to ask again, is the tool rental set by you for each specific device, or it's up to the renter, whatever price he wants to set?
Yeah, you can set whatever price you want to set. You can be as competitive as you want. Right now, I guide the people here in Garland to be competitive with me and like get their stuff moving, but you can set whatever you want. We've got a guy right now that thinks we're too cheap, and he bumped up his prices, and unfortunately his stuff isn't renting, you know, but you can pick the price and pick when it's available, pick the delivery rate, the deposit rate, everything. It's all up to
And
you.
what is the minimum time that I can rent any equipment for?
Right now, it's a day.
Day.
I know Home Depot does 4-hour rentals. Right now on the app, it's only calculated by the day. We do back-end office work. We still only do it by the day, by the week, or by the month.
Okay, last question. How different are you, or what specific benefits you offer over the other two companies you mentioned earlier?
So Yard Club got bought by Caterpillar, only renting out Caterpillar equipment, right? So that's still one owner, one corporation, all of that. Equipment Share was doing what I was doing. They were only accepting new tools, though. They didn't want any of the used tools sitting around, right, because of that quality control. I'm sure they were having issues with that. I really am still trying to use the assets and the resources of the tool owner, right? I would like it to be sort of like Airbnb and Turo, as to where Equipment Share, they got 2 investments, I think. One for $5.5 million from some like pre-seed round or AC round or something like that. It kept going pretty well. Now they're in like Michigan, Dallas, San Antonio, Houston, and Kissimmee, Florida. And then they got what I heard, and I've never gone in there. I tried to play a trick on them, like, hey, I have 13 skid steers. Let me put them on your app, you know. They didn't accept my skid steers. So I've never really like validated this anyway, but I heard they got $73 million. They pulled all of the like old equipment off their app. Now you can come to them with like some certain amount of money and you can buy new equipment with them and then leave it there with them. But it has to rent out from their yard. You're not allowed to like store it. You have to book it from them. You have to pay it to get your own tool back, right? So it's not really like convenient for the people that are owning tools and using tools, which I think is a much more scalable idea, right? Like there's been 1 million skid steers out and about, right? So I don't know, just to pull them all in seems limited. So.
All right, thank you.
We actually, we're on our time limit, so I'm going to ask you the last couple questions, and then we're going to move on. But feel free to network afterwards and ask more questions. Sherwood, he'll hang around, and we can get through some more. 2 quick questions. Number 1, insurance you mentioned. How hard is it to get insurance for this product? I mean, what kind of insurance is it? Number 1, because you're insuring both the stuff you maintain and product that isn't maintained by the actual owner.
So it's really not that new of a program. There's already re-rental programs. Pretty much what I'm doing, I'm like, I'm the organizer, I guess, and anything that rents through my platform, I get ownership of that rental, right? So if my customer goes to pick up a tool, my insurance kicks in as soon as my customer touches it. But if you're storing it on your location and you're driving it around, then my insurance isn't doing anything until my customer touches it.
Got it. Okay. And final question. Thank you for the presentation today. What can we as a group do for you?
Man, that's always such a hard question. That's what they asked me last time. I don't know. I need app development, right? I always didn't want to accept any money, but the app costs like $10,000 a month just to maintain and build, right? So obviously we put that on pause. So I guess money, and I don't like asking for money or anything like that, but I guess money or app development or somebody that wants to like come in, learn all the code, and then just be in the RV with us, right, at the war room. And then
Perfect.
that would be cool.
Sure. Thank you very much, and I look forward to future conversations.
Thank you, sir.